Um, Welcome. It is so exciting to have so many wonderful people here with us on a Sunday afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephanie Steinberg. I am the founder of the Detroit Writing Room, the New York Writing Room, and also the executive director of Coaching Detroit Forward, which a portion of proceeds from this event today benefits. So thank you all for attending and supporting us. Um, a little bit about Coaching Detroit Forward before we get into the Faculty of Wonderment and their new book. We teach Detroit high school students writing and photography, and we produced this beautiful magazine last summer with the students, featuring their stories and their photos. And we're also going to be hosting a photography exhibit in June featuring the work by our photography camp. So if anyone is interested in supporting us, we're going to have our first in-person public event on June 5th, and it's going to be a very awesome student photography showcase. I would love to see you all there if you're free and interested in attending. But enough about us. I want to say thank you so much to Vanessa from Gertrude's Writing Room, because she introduced me to Pete and started this amazing friendship across the border. And I am so excited to host Pete and the Faculty of Wonderment team for the Road Hockey Crew book launch today in Detroit. This is an amazing new novel that Pete co-wrote with John Conlon and illustrated by Glen Hawkes. And you guys are going to get to meet the crew later on in the hour. Quick heads up, we will be giving away 5 copies of the book, but you must stay through the entire event in order to be entered to win. So don't leave early, stay till the end. And if you have questions, hold on to them. There's going to be a Q&A at the end as well.
Awesome.
But without further ado, everyone is on mute, and please stay on mute because we're going to enjoy a presentation featuring the new book. So Irene, feel free to take it away.
Will you kids get away from that? Get away from my garage!
It's right there, see it!
Let's face it, there's always gonna be the Mr. Gumforts of the world yelling at kids for playing sports. Kids, just wanting to be kids. And you wonder if he ever was one at one point. Because if he was, there's fun out there. In the little town of Riverside, where the road hockey crew plays, you'll find Cap or Wing or Striker Sleuth, or even Abby and Bradbury and Yarrow, because that's where it begins. It's street versus street, kid versus kid, team versus team battling it out. But there's no pucks, there's no dusty trophies to collect dust and put on a shelf. No, it's bragging rights to be the road hockey crew of the year. And just for a moment, think about what it was like to be 10 again, kicking leaves with soup-spitting laughter, adventures of nonsense, Halloween mischief, and road hockey. You might even find a bit of wonderment there because it's everywhere within you.
Hey, handle your stick.
The road hockey crew.
All right, thank you so much. What a fantastic book trailer video. I'm so impressed by what the Faculty of Wonderment has put together.
Thank you. That was Noah.
Kudos to Noah. Before we also transition to our talk today, we like to give our guests a chance to introduce themselves. So we've got a lot of people here. We encourage you to use the chat box and you can leave your name and where you're from. If you want to share any social media handles to connect, you're welcome to do that as well. Feel free to share if you've read the book, if you've liked it, loved it. The chat box is yours to connect with each other. Um, and now I am very excited to introduce our moderator for today, Irene Moore Davis. She is a Windsor, Ontario-based local educator, writer, historian, and podcaster. She is president of the Essex County Black Historical Research Society, co-host of the All Right in Sin City podcast, and program chair at BookFest Windsor, and is actively involved with many other community organizations. Irene has published works of poetry, history, and journalism. Her forthcoming book is titled Our Own Two Hands, A History of Black Lives in Windsor from the 1700s Forward. She's a graduate of the University of Windsor Western University and Queen's University, and is an administrator at St. Clair College, where she also teaches English, Underground Railroad history, and Black cultural studies. Irene, it is a pleasure to have you moderate our discussion today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. It is such a pleasure for me to be moderating this event. This is very exciting. This book has been a long time coming. It's written by some dear friends and it has excellent illustrations as well. And we're just going to have so much fun talking about it. So I'm looking forward to this. To begin with, I want to introduce the co-authors and Karen Kilbride, who's here as one of the editors as well. And so just bear with me while I do some short introductions. First, I want to start with Peter James Billing. He is a poet, songwriter, filmmaker, photographer, and an incredible dishwasher, I can attest. He's a graduate of the University of Windsor, honors communication studies, and he resides in historic Walkerville, Ontario, the town Hiram Walker built. And he is someone who we very much admire in Windsor's literary community, and I'm glad that the Detroit writing community is getting to know him as well. He was a finalist in the 2020 International Edgar Allan Poe Awards at PoeFest for his dark love letter from the grave to the living and the knocking of the nails. And he is the co-author of this book. So please welcome Peter James Billing.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks, Irene, so much. I just can't believe that I have so many great friends around me here today. And Stephanie, I so appreciate our connection that we've made through Vanessa, and it's just part of the synergy of people and just enjoying so the sincerity. Irene, I mean I absolutely can't thank you enough for doing what you're doing. Many conversations of story and laughter, and now this, and your accolades are unbelievable. So, but also too, you're an amazing person, and everyone here with Karen and John and that, Blair and Pete, and that these are just incredible people. Before I start, I just want to say thank you to my son and Noah. You're the best, and you've been here, and here we are. Let's have fun. So love you, buddy.
Love you too.
Wow, that's so lovely. So John Conlon is the other co-author. He's a former road hockey player and he hasn't given up ice hockey just yet. He taught high school history for the last 30 years and he's also a sessional instructor of history and education at the University of Windsor. In his spare time, he writes plays and music, and he enjoyed helping Pete realize his vision for this book. They actually played hockey together as kids. So welcome, John Conlon. And Karen Kilbride. Karen Kilbride is a teacher, mother, author, editor, seamstress, costume designer for theatrical endeavors, and a hockey player all rolled into one. And she is a published author. She's written one novel and has another in the works. She teaches English at St. Clair College, and she's active in community theater in Windsor and Essex County. And she served on this project as one of the editors and also hockey consultant. So please welcome Karen Kilbride. Happy to talk with all of you today. So let's get started with the first reading. I'm going to invite Peter to share a bit of this wonderful book.
Thanks, Irene. I just wanted to read the first chapter, a bit of it, and it's called Meeting on the Hill, and it's it kind of gives you where the book begins. And so I'll go from there. Unfortunately, a whirlwind of hate squealed up on a smoke gray motocross bike 15 minutes late to a meeting atop George St. James School Hill, still cursing and panting from his hectic life. It was a life path he chose, much like the 3 mud puddles he needed to plow through en route, and such a kid thing to do. But somehow this tornado of wheels made even the mud puddles seem a little filthier. In fact, forget the dirt-filled words before, for the shrilled words of revenge and other nonsense he spit out after serving his 14th detention, and 9 days was now, he covered the young road hockey troops before him like an invisible cloak of dark dust all sensed they were being sprinkled with, as if a young sorcerer on high ground was wielding potions of bluster and chaos on all those waiting his arrival. Because quite simply, it was never his fault, the attitude, the lateness, the meanness, ever. And yes, it is he, the ultimate captain of disaster, known as Barnabas Setterington Slay, that cut through the car vapors moments before, narrowly missing a few of the younger street hockey players who arrived late for the annual preseason meetup. Intimidation was his intention. And if those young players trembled just a little, or even backed up just a little as he cast a wicked snarl their way, well, then most of his work was complete with a slightly burnt hockey stick strapped across his back, hockey cards clipped on wheel spokes to stereo his personal theme music, like of a fake motorbike sound, just enough of an auditory chill to warn of what or who was coming, much like the green menace from a yellow brick tale so long ago. However, this is not a story about the Orchard Grove Gremlins' dirtiest player, but about whether that player's Slay could actually be defeated in the up-and-coming Admirals, led by, solidly, Cap Armstrong. As the leader at 13, it was known that if Cap were a building or an arena or a road for hockey, well, it was and he was the foundation, the heart and very foundation of the Acorn Street Admirals. For this is a story about standing your ground against so much, where if it were not for friendship and such a leader to lean on, well, one's bowed stick would certainly break into splinters. You see, this was the year the Acorn Admirals sought to challenge the Riverside road hockey dynasty. Between the beats of time from Slay's late arrival to his predictable perch, Cap guided his teammates to edge closer to the greasy, tar-soot-haired bully before them, as he knew this opponent all too well and anticipated his tone and content and color of the speech that was to unfold. Cap wanted them to get closer to the cage of a wild dog and hopefully replace fear with, "So I'm late. Who cares?" Slay was out of breath from the ride as slow, heated words spilled out of his mouth like lava from a tired volcano. "Yeah, that's it. Cap, move them all in a little closer. Got your attendance chart there, I see. Did you mark it down, eh? Barnabas Slay, late again. That's right, everybody. Slay's late again." It was suddenly his hill now, as quiet surrounded him and Raven, the chosen pet name for his hand-me-down bike. Slay waited for reprimand that he knew wouldn't come. Now I need everybody's attention. He had everybody's attention when he arrived, and he knew it. As captain of the reigning champions, 3-year reigning champions, Orchard Grove Gremlins, there was a quiet cheer from his teammates. "It's my job to announce the start of the 10th season of the Riverside Road Hockey Crew." There's no reaction among the crowd. Did you all hear it? Did you all hear what I said? "It's the 10th season of the Riverside Road Hockey Crew," he bellowed. This time his teammates let out a series of whoops and yells, and there was a smattering of less enthusiastic woohoos from some of the other teammates. "That's more like it." Now, the Gremlins own the bragging rights for this year and the rights to set the schedule. Slay impatiently snapped to someone behind him, and a clipboard appeared in his hand. "Here's the schedule. You can get it right here from Simon Sousay, sir." "Yeah, well, you can get it from him. And if there's any conflicts, too bad. You forfeit. Any questions?" There were none. Good. Now, everyone take a look at these buttes. Slade ran his hand along the sleeve of his jacket like a fancy waiter showing off an expensive wine bottle. I've got 3 of these champion patches on my jacket, more than anybody ever. And see this? He pointed to a small empty space on his sleeve. I've got room for 1 more on this arm, and I will get it by the end of the season. That much I guarantee. Again, shouts of approval and support from his mates. Yet Cap knew it was a privilege of teamwork and grit to win, to display the coveted sewn patch on a jersey or hat or tee. There was no money involved, no cup to be won or raised over your head or dusty, forgotten trophies next to an unmade bed. There weren't even pucks to shovel free from snowbanks, because that's where both old rubber biscuits and younger brothers and sisters went face first. Sticks of flailing. No, it was kid versus kid. It was street versus street, team versus team. And as much as Cap hated to admit it, the Orchard Grove Gremlins had earned the right to display the patch proudly. They were arrogant, no doubt. They were mean too, but the truth was that they were the best team in Riverside and tough to beat wherever they played, but virtually impossible and unstoppable on their home turf. Barnabas regained his breath, and he felt the need to poke the crowd a little more. So that's it. Meeting over. Get ready for another season of pain. As he adjusted his bike, ready to set off again, the spokes tearing through hockey cards, as Simon leaned in shyly and whispered to him. Barnabas straightened up again and turned around to the crowd. Yeah, I heard about the new kid coming in from Paris, Ontario, by bus. Yeah, there's a real hockey town. Laughs and jeers from his teammates. Well, Paris is a long way away from our roads, and a heck of a lot harder when you're picking up skin off your cheek. What's her name? Gabby? Blabby? Abby St. Germain, sir, Simon assisted. Abby saying whatever. I don't care who she is. She will know the code and follow it. You live on a street, you play on that street. Simple. He scanned the masses to see the younger players turn their heads, much like a dogs do when their owners cast an angry snarl. Partial fear, partial shame. And quite sadly, there was no reason for either. So somewhere from the back of the crowd of the bikes that surrounded him, a voice popped up. You can't hear you well, man. Can you repeat everything you said after so I'm late? Who cares? Heads spun, mouths open, wordless. Barnabas, half hearing this over the chuckles and gasps, raised his eyebrow in confusion, but motored on. Here's the bad news. While you guys are all away holding hands at Camp Cozy Sing-Along, my squad have been training and training. We're even better than last year. I hope you all enjoy your burnt marshmallows and your lame-o camp songs, because they're not going to help you pull any miracles this year. Some thought they saw a froth spilling from the corners of his mouth. Some. That's right. No miracles this year, Barn. Not in this lifetime, buddy, blurted Warren Cliff, the Gremlins' tough guy and dreaded defenseman who stood a whopping 5'9", big enough considering he was 10, spitting nail kind of tough. He had shoulders that could punish, glaring eyes that pierced, and breath that could kill. The truly, utterly stinky bad breath that could gag a maggot before it came a fly bad. Cliff climbed the hill and pushed through the players to relay a message, to temper Barnabas a bit. Cliff was on damage control, ascending perhaps like a baseball manager from a dugout or a fresh goalie tapped on the shoulder by a coach. But please understand, Warren Cliff knew his place, the never go place. That never go was to never ever relieve the pitcher or never ever pull the keeper out of his moment. Barnabas required an eggshell touch. Adjust his focus, tell him he's doing great, but be careful. Slade wasn't stupid. He could sniff out a phony by eyes every time. However, Cliff never spoke of his personal gift to charm snakes or toads or slay. He just did it. So that was long, but you know.
Excellent. Thank you,
Is it
Peter.
time over now? Sorry.
Almost, but not quite.
Oh, dang. Sorry for it's okay. Yeah.
So Peter and John, how did the idea for this book come about?
Go ahead, Pete.
Okay, well, it was I think it's just being a kid and playing road hockey. Like Johnny and I played hockey, and we'd sit in the back of my mom's car and waiting to go to games, and talking. And I never knew he was a writer. He never knew I was a writer. I mean, we're just kids, right? So the idea of the book was just kind of a bit of Canadiana, a bit of what we experience, and the fun and the rivalries and the friendships. So I think that just evolved into what it is, because I just think that it's a ratatouille moment. It's like you think back, and when you tell people about road hockey, it just like it brings up this childhood memory, whether good, bad, or indifferent. Everybody knows when they were playing road hockey. So I wanted Johnny to be part of this and bring him in, because he's an amazing writer, great guy, and of a great family, and he just made the book just explode. So it was great.
John, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I mean, I'd love to take credit for the idea, but it wasn't mine. Pete had already started writing the book when I came on board. I just kind of worked with him to help him lengthen the book a bit, and it was just it was already a really good story, when I came on. So I was just kind of I was the relief pitcher, I guess.
No. Give me a break. You got that much better, buddy. Yep.
So this question is for both of you again. What was the process of collaboration like? Was it what you expected?
Go ahead, Johnny. You want it?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, because probably for the first half of the book that I was more doing a lot of just editing and sending it back and forth to Pete. And then once we decided to lengthen the book, then it became more of a, sitting down and hashing out story ideas and things like that. And we did a lot of our writing we did kind of separately, and then we would come together and argue about what we wanted to keep and what we didn't want to keep. And that was an interesting experience with me, because I've never done that. So it was fun. It was really cool.
Yeah, and I think that's we were getting to learn. We're learning how to work together, and John's independent, I'm independent. We go into our cubby holes and everything, and Noah from the beginning, my son, it was him playing with me, and it brings you back to that time. But as far as our writing process, I did have to, because John was getting the language that I have, and my language is different, and John has a beautiful style himself, but it's like a Shakespearean character dropping in Middle Earth, and everybody's got to figure out what I'm saying. So I mean, that's what John and I are saying. What do you mean here, Pete? And so that is amazing. And then once Irene and Karen get on there, but yeah, it's fun. Can't wait for more with you.
Yeah. Wonderful. So Karen, this question is for you. You've been described as both the hockey consultant and as a critical voice for women and girls in the editorial process. What makes you proudest about your involvement in this process?
I'm always encouraging girls to get into hockey. I was a late starter, actually, back in my hometown in the early 70s. There just wasn't any girls hockey. It's just something that or if there was, we certainly never heard about it. And I always wanted to play, but it never even occurred to me to ask to play on the boys team. And generally it's not something that would have been done. So I always wanted to play. I loved playing road hockey because anybody could join. We didn't have to have teams. You didn't have to sign up. You could show up in just a t-shirt and shorts. You didn't have to have any equipment. And when I got older, I realized how much I wanted to play, and I signed up for a league and enjoyed it so much that my daughter, who was 6 at the time, said she wanted to play. And then it opened up this huge